up, Martin? We'll wait a couple minutes for everyone to get in here. We're going live from Dunwoody, Georgia, I think. What's up, Brandon? First baseman. I'm not going to answer any questions for like one more minute. We'll let everyone filter in. What's going on, Tilly? What's up, Andrew? What's going on? All right, I will. I might have to go for a minute now because my wife is trying to FaceTime me. I just told her I was going to be on here for a little bit, so we'll see if she FaceTimes me back. Oh, $5. Thank you so much. Let's see what the question is from John. Oh, you felt like it was nice to give someone money. I appreciate you giving it to me. Thank you. You got a question? Nope. All right, we'll start answering questions. Got you away. So I guess I'll talk while you guys what tournament. So we're in the 17U WWBA National Championship, I think is what it calls. It's a perfect game tournament down in Georgia. So our 17U team is down here for about a week. We'll play 6 games. 6 games total? 7 games total? 7 games total. We've played 6 games. Thoughts on Skaggs' death? So I actually don't. I'm not sure if it has come out what has happened, but obviously it's terrible news. But I have been on the field so much I have not really followed it. Marietta, yeah, we played a few games in Marietta. We're not. We're probably like. I think we were like 30 minutes maybe from there. What's up, Jason? So we've been down here for about a week. We've got one more game tomorrow, then we fly home. What glove should I get? An A2000 or A2K? I'd go with the A2000. Oh yeah, Nick Shaw. I know Nick Shaw. Thoughts on moving up and back in the box? I was always a hitter that kind of stayed in the same spot, but I guess it depends. Like I've heard Pete Rose talk about making adjustments and moving up and back and in and out depending on the pitcher. And so some guys like to do that. Some guys like to, like I usually stayed in a similar spot because I felt like um, my idea of where the pitch is crossing the plate is going to be different if I'm always moving around in the box. And if I'm in the same spot, then I get a really good idea of where the ball's crossing the plate, and then my strike zone judgment's better, my pitch selection's better. So, Adam Hess, thank you for $5. I appreciate it. How do you impress a coach at tryouts? So, well, I mean, I think you impress a coach in a couple of ways. One, just based on your skill set, and your tool set. So if you can run really fast and you've got good bat speed, or if you're a pitcher and you've got, good arm speed and you throw the ball hard, that's going to obviously impress. I mean, you can impress in other ways too. You can impress with your work ethic. You can impress like when we have guys go to workouts and tryouts. It sounds stupid because you would think everyone would do it, run on and off the field, be the first guy in line, have good energy, like all those things. You would think that that's a given, but a lot of players actually don't do that. So, I mean, that's another easy way to impress. What's better for a pitcher? Oops, hold on one sec. Fast pitching or movement? Well, I mean, both are pretty important. If you want to play at a high level, you've got to throw hard. So even if your ball moves a ton, but you throw 76, you're not going to play at a high level. So I would say velocity is the most important to be able to play at a high level. And then, if you have movement on a high velocity pitch, then I think that's what makes you really, potentially really, really good. What are diets like at each level? Well, you guys can see I'm drinking Coke right now, and I mean, my diet was never very good playing. I just get lucky. I got lucky and didn't have to eat very well, and I could stay relatively in shape. So I also was working out a lot. So there's no diet. I'm in the minor leagues, we eat peanut butter and jelly every day. So, and I'm in a hotel room with no cups. That's why I'm drinking out of this 2-liter bottle. For wood bats, I think wood bats are all personal preference. Like, I like certain wood bats that other guys don't like. It's really hard for me to say what's the best wood bat to swing because um, they are all very different. Braves or Dodgers? I don't really have a team that I cheer for, so I just pretty much cheer for players. But I'll go Dodgers. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure hockey. You don't have to be in like the greatest shape in the world to play baseball. I'm assuming you have to be in a little bit better shape to play in the NHL versus the MLB. Did the team groupies ever get you in the minor leagues? No, they didn't. What advice would I give a 12-year-old? Have fun, number one. I mean, that's probably the biggest advice. Have fun. If you have fun, you'll play more. If you play more, you'll get better. You'll improve. If you're having fun, you'll work out more. You'll train more. If you don't enjoy it, then, it's going to be hard to be a good player because you're not going to want to do anything to improve. How are we doing in the tournament? So we start off really well. We start off what were we?
2-1-1.
We were 2-1-1, which we were in second place in our pool. It's a really tough tournament. It's one of the best tournaments in the country. So every game is a tough game to win. But we've lost our last two. We lost today's game. We had a couple of injuries which hurt, and we didn't hit the ball very well today. So we got shut out, and we'd been absolutely crushing the ball before today's game. So hold on one sec. I just got a super chat. Let me see real quick. Nebraska corn-fed. Thank you for the $2. Bat progression from 12. Oh. From 12U to Legion using a 30-20. So, I mean, it just depends on, this depends on a lot of things. I get a ton of bat questions. It's really hard. It depends a lot on your size, how big and strong you are, what your bat speed's currently like, how physical you are. If you're bigger, you can handle a longer bat, a heavier bat. If you're not, then I would err on the side of lighter versus heavier. But it is really hard for me to say without ever seeing you or seeing you swing. When I see a guy swing, then I can say, man, you can't handle that bat, or you can handle a bat that's bigger than that. So it is really hard for me to say without seeing it. Let me get back here. So a certain bat ends for a 13 or 14-year-old. Yeah, again, it doesn't matter your age. Like we have a 15-year-old on our team that looks like a 25-year-old. So, and I've seen 15-year-olds that look like 6-year-olds. So it's impossible to say by age. Would I pay attention to a kid's perfect game rating? Yeah, me and Brian we're the two coaches on our team. We looked at perfect game ratings pretty much. We were just actually looking at a kid a few minutes ago that had a 10, and he threw 98 miles an hour, and he was committed. Depends. We're just looking at it just for fun. But I do know some coaches, when I coached at Holy Cross, if I needed to find a guy online, I'd type his name in. It would pop up in perfect game. I'd look, and sometimes you see the rating. I've seen ratings that are really off, and I've seen some that are really good. So it all depends. How many commits on our team? So we have 3 commits so far, but I would say within the next week or two, we'll probably have at least another one, two. We'll probably have another like 3 or so, and then we'll slowly start to get more as we keep going into the summer. How much does pitcher's velocity affect me? It depends. I mean, depends on the level too. I would say like at a high level, if you're hitting at the professional level, at the major league level. We were actually talking about this today too. I ran into a former teammate of mine, Jimmy Negri, today, and so like when I played, I always felt like once you got above like 93 and up, that started to be pretty challenging velo wise. You get up into like the 95, 96, 97s, and like then you've got to really just almost eliminate anything but fastballs. So the higher the velo, the tougher it is because you have to really just sell out on a fastball, or you're not going to be able to hit a breaking. That's the only way to really get to the fastballs. So it makes it tougher to hit off speed pitches. We're based out of like the Boston area, a little north of Boston, but our players are, I would say, within 45 minutes to an hour of a little bit north of Boston. I think I might have missed a couple of questions. How do you gain confidence at the plate? It's a really good question. I don't know if there's any way to just confidence is a tricky thing because if you don't have a really good swing, I think it always just comes back to players' swing. It's not just a swing, but a lot of it is a swing. So, when my swing didn't feel good, or I was in a slump, or I just, something was out of whack with my swing, and I wasn't getting results, it's really hard to just fake having good confidence. And so I think a lot of it comes back to your swing. I think work ethic has a lot to do with it. So if you're putting in a lot of time and extra work and your swing starts to feel better, I think that helps. I think a lot of confidence too is like focusing on the process, not the results. So some guys like hit a line shot right at an outfielder and it gets caught, and their confidence goes down when they actually did everything right. So if you just focus on getting good pitches to hit, hitting the ball hard, and that's it, and don't worry about does the ball fall in, does it not fall in, then your confidence will be much higher. Because as a hitter, even if you're good, you're only going to get hit 30% of the time. So if the only thing you get confident with is when you actually get a hit, then 70% of the time your confidence is going to be going down. Is it tough switching to heavier bats? Yeah, I would say, typically it's harder to go to heavier bats because especially if you're going from a 23 to a 29, that means you're probably pretty young. 6 ounces is a lot of ounces with a bat, so. College players, for the most part, use metal bats, typically drop threes. So if you swing a 33 inch, you're going to swing a 30 ounce. Can we live stream tomorrow's game? We probably won't live stream tomorrow's game, but I think when we get back from this tournament, we're going to start live streaming a lot more games. Because I've done 2 down here, and a lot of people have said they like it. So, how do I feel about being a first-round pick? It was fun at the time. I don't really think about it too much anymore. Why'd I choose Wake Forest? I chose Wake pretty much for 2 reasons. One, they were really good at baseball and they liked me, and 2, they were a good academic school. So I was trying to go someplace that had good baseball and good academics. Where are y'all at in Georgia? So I think we're in a place called Dunwoody, I believe. How hard should a 15-year-old throw? Really depends. I would say most of our 15-year-old players are probably somewhere in the 70s, I would say. Yeah, probably somewhere in the 70s. Trying to think if we have any 15s. So we've got a 15-year-old Sam Beliveau who will be like low 80s. But that's considered a pretty good arm. I would say if you're in the 80s as a 15-year-old, you've got a pretty good arm. I would say majority of 15-year-olds in the 70s. I've seen some 15-year-olds that are slower. But I would say if you're 15, you've got a good arm, and you're probably in the high 70s. If you got a really good arm, you're probably in the low 80s. You throw 93 and you're 12, well, you'll be in the big leagues for a long time. So, congrats. It's pretty good. How's Mo doing? Mo's doing good. He got a little banged up today. Got a little cramp or something in his hamstring. So, this language barrier problems. I wouldn't say problems. When I first, no, this is like we've been to Lake Put a bunch of times. Language barrier doesn't really cause problems. It does take a little bit of time to learn how to communicate with guys. I would say most of the guys that don't speak English in the minor leagues, especially, they kind of understand the baseball English terms, so you can talk a little bit with them. Hey Joe, thank you for the $2. Let me see what that question was. Hold on one sec. Left-handed kid, only teach him first base and outfield. It's a good question. My son is left-handed as well. So, but my son's really, really young. So, I would say, I mean, I don't know if there's any need to teach him shortstop or second or third because he's really never going to play there. Although he might play there in Little League, I guess. But I would say, yeah, I mean, with my son as he gets older, I'm probably going to hit him a lot of fly balls, and I'll probably work with him around the first base bag. But I would assume that I'm going to work mostly with my son on fly balls and on pitching. I'm probably not going to waste a whole lot of time hitting him ground balls from short and letting him rotor to first, just because if he does do that, he might do that until he's 12 if his coach puts him there because he's the best athlete and best fielder. But I'm assuming when he's 13, he'll never play there again. I think the moral of the story is just make sure he absolutely rakes, and then it won't matter. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, we play a team called the Banditos, and their motto is if you hit, you won't sit. So that's my motto now too. Yeah, your son's 7, mine's gonna be 5, so same thing. London series was cool. There was a lot of offense, a real lot of offense. But we had fun watching it. You may have played us at Diamond Nation. Our teams were just there. Our teams did really well this year at Diamond Nation. Leadoff hitter approach. I mean, I think, what pick was I in the draft? 17th. Leadoff hitter approach. So I was a leadoff hitter my whole life. And I mean, my approach typically was to get on base. So, I mean, I went to the plate pretty much always just looking to get my pitch so I could hit it hard. If it wasn't there, I didn't swing at it. If it was there, I tried to hit it hard and get on. So that was my basic approach. Like, I wasn't trying to force walks, even though I was a leadoff guy. But I've always been kind of a patient hitter, so I happen to be good at leadoff. I never think it's a good idea to like try to make someone hit in a certain spot and force them to change their approach. I think everyone has a certain approach, and you take that player's approach and you look at the lineup and say, okay, the leadoff hitter should be the guy that typically gets on base the most on the team. So let me get my guy that does that and put him in the leadoff instead of just taking a player and putting him in the leadoff and then saying, okay, this is how you have to hit because you're hitting leadoff. So hopefully that makes sense. Thanks, Robert. Like my coach one year, I hit leadoff my whole life, and then my junior year of college, my coach wanted me to hit in the 3-hole, and then he put me in the 3-hole, and then he yelled at me that I wasn't aggressive enough. But I'd always hit leadoff because I was more of a patient on-base guy, and it was really hard for me to be more aggressive in the 3-hole. So hopefully that makes sense. Any guys you want to send to you? Where do you coach? You coach JUCO in the state of Washington. Maybe we'll have a few. We've had a few guys go JUCO, so maybe we will. Just send me an email, matt@antonellibaseball.com. Let me know what you're looking for. Love these live chats. Thanks, Matt. Thank you for the $10, D Porter. You're the man. I've never used steroids. No. I probably should have. I'm just kidding. Let's see. Wow, $10. Thank you so much, Joseph. Thanks for great content. How about a video showing a weekly workout routine that is baseball training specific? I can try to do that for you. We were actually having this conversation too today. I think in some ways the baseball specific thing can be a little bit overrated. I think like if you're gonna train for baseball, this is the way I always did it, is that you're gonna do like the core lifts. So I did a squat, a deadlift, some type of push, like a press push, and then a pull, and like a chin up. And then you can supplement it with whatever else you want. And I made me bigger, stronger, faster. Like my rep count was usually always somewhere in like the, 4 to 8 reps probably on all the stuff I was doing. So I wasn't like powerlifting 1 rep maxes, but I wasn't doing like 15 reps. And that worked really well for me. And I do know the stronger I got, the bigger I got, the better I played pretty much my whole career. I think sometimes people take the baseball specific thing and think like, oh, I can't lift weight, I can't lift heavy weights, and then they don't get very big and strong. And being down in this tournament, the best player, not always, this is not always the case, but when we watch the best teams, they're the most physical teams. They're all big, strong, and athletic, for the most part. I do not know why people do that, no. What's my thoughts on getting the foot down early? So I'm not like someone that says you got to stride before the pitcher like releases the ball or anything. I think you want to be on time. There's going to be some guys put their foot down a little bit early, some late. There's such thing as being late, but there's also such thing as being too early. So I never say like get your foot down early. Obviously, don't say get your foot down late. I usually say you want to be on time. If the guy looks like he's late, I tell him to put it down earlier. I usually don't say the term "get your foot down" really ever. I usually just say get early, get ready earlier. And if you get your foot up early and get ready earlier, well then you'll get it down earlier. My thoughts on launch angle. I think for like 100 million years, guys have been trying to hit, like good hitters are trying to hit line drives with carry. And so, that's what I'm trying to do as a hitter when I played, trying to hit the ball, line drive with some carry. And, now they talk about launch angle. If someone says launch angle, it talks about the launch angle of a ball. Everyone gets mad because they think they're trying to hit pop-ups or fly balls. Now, I do think that there's, depending on what type of player you are, if you're a power hitter, then you probably want to hit the ball in the air a little bit more, especially if you're a big league hitter, because it's very valuable to be able to hit. If you can hit home runs and drive the ball out of the park, well, then you're going to get paid millions of dollars. So you bunt bottom of the ninth of a no-hitter, or do you think that's just the game? So I think I probably wouldn't bunt. I wouldn't probably bunt to break up a no-hitter, but I've seen guys do it before. I would say if you're like down, if the game is close, then I I guess I wouldn't have a problem with it. If the game is not close, then I probably would have a problem with it. I would probably say swing the bat. But some guys are really good bunters, and that's how they get on base. And so if they did it, I probably wouldn't have a problem. Again, unless the game was like not very close. What age group do we start traveling consistently? So every team in our program goes on one travel trip. But the younger kids don't go very far. And then they also play another tournament that's closer to home. So, and it switches every year. Like this year, our young kids went to Maryland, which is actually the furthest we've ever gone for young kids. But they go to New Jersey, they go to Baseball Heaven in New York. Not until our guys get older, like recruitable ages, that we'll go further. So like our team going to Georgia is our 17U team, but we have a 15-year-old on it. We have a couple 16-year-olds on it. And so at that point we go. Like we're not going to take our 12-year-olds to Florida, or like I just don't think for me there's so many tournaments that we can go to. Like, I don't think we need to all get on a flight and go stay in a hotel for a week for 12U baseball. That's just my opinion, though, so. Nice, good luck. Hold on one second. It's hard to read some of the questions. Are going really fast. Oh, good luck. See if I can get some of these questions. Okay. Favorite town in Connecticut? I have no idea. I don't have one. Who do you think the best MLB rookie is right now? Who's the best MLB rookie right now? I don't know. Let me think about it for a minute.
Tatis?
Yeah, Tatis the Beast. Thoughts on Zach Hampel? Is that how you say his last name? I don't know him. I've seen his videos, but I don't know him. Hitting tips for a youth player. I mean, I could talk a lot. I would go to our YouTube page. I have a ton of videos on tips for youth players. Fielding, catching drills you can do by yourself. Yeah, I can do a million. Same thing. Go to our YouTube page. We have a ton of them. And our playlist on catching or infield play or whatever. My day's going great. Thanks. How's yours? What would I call an MLB team in Nashville, Tennessee? I don't know. Probably something to do with music, I guess. I think of music when I think of country music when I think of Nashville. Am I looking to be a manager in the Padres farm system? I am not. I've actually gone on a couple of interviews for minor league managing positions and hitting coach positions, and I have not taken any of those. But as of right now, I'm not really interested. Stars baseball out of Virginia. I have not played them, but I remember watching them when I was recruiting back at Holy Cross. But we've never played them, I don't think. Was it crazy to be in the Yankees organization because of tradition? So, yeah, it was different. I never made it to the major league for the Yankees. I was in AAA when they sent me over there. But it's definitely a different organization. I told you guys the story about how when I walked into the clubhouse the first day and got yelled at that I wasn't clean shaven and I'd just only been there 5 minutes. So they do things differently over there. And I thought they definitely had, as far as minor league stuff goes, it was just a different feeling. Like I felt like they had a little higher standard. Everyone was trying to win, but it just felt a little different when I was with them. I did not know him, so I can't really say a whole lot about him. What team did I want to get drafted by? I really didn't care. I was a big Red Sox fan, but I honestly was not. To be completely honest, the Red Sox picked like 30th when I was getting drafted, and I was hoping I was getting drafted a lot earlier than that. So I didn't really want to go to the Red Sox because that would have meant I went lower in the draft. MLB's exit velocity, relevant or irrelevant? I mean, the harder you can hit it and the more consistently you can hit it hard, the better player you are. So I don't think it's irrelevant. I think some people that are more old school get mad anytime there's ever a number that's put up that isn't like a number that's been put up over the last 50 years. So they get all mad about it. My first thoughts when I saw Petco Park was, I mean, it was a really, really nice stadium. I like playing there. It's nice when, I mean, it's nice when any major league park is your home park, but Petco's really nice. Your best way to get seen by college scouts if you can't afford to go play anywhere is to get your phone, which you're on probably right now, and you're gonna go videotape yourself, and then you're going to put it online. You're gonna make an email and you're gonna send it to every college coach that you want. And if you're good, then they're gonna contact you. I guarantee it. If you're too young to be contacted, that makes it a little bit more difficult because then they would usually call your high school coach, your summer ball coach, and tell you to call them. But they'll figure out a way to get a hold of you. So that would be I put a whole thing up on our YouTube channel. If you go to our recruiting playlist, I talk about exactly how to get recruited. So go watch that video. All right, so we've been doing this for like 30 minutes. I'm gonna go a little bit longer and then I have to go talk to my wife. We're in town for one more day. We got one more game. How much does our travel ball team cost to play on? It depends on the team. All the teams are different, but I would say anywhere between like $2,000 and $3,000, somewhere in there. And that basically gets you an entire winter workout. So basically 30 winter workouts. It gets you uniforms. It gets you every travel tournament. It gets you regular season, depending on your age. It gets you all the tournament fees. It gets you coaches, obviously. It gets you pretty much everything. So. If you want something signed by me, the best thing is probably to send it to the facility where we work out at. It's called New England's Premier Sportsplex in Danvers, Massachusetts. No, I don't think the home run derby will ruin anyone's swing. I think at least, I think every player when they've gone to the park at some point says, I'm going to hit the next 8 balls out of here, or at least try to. So I don't think it's going to be something crazy like that's going to ruin a player's swing. No, I don't. I think Vlad Guerrero Jr. has probably gone to the park plenty of times in his life and said, hey, fellas, watch, I'm going to hit 50 home runs right now. And he does it. And he's still pretty good. So I don't think this is going to change anything. Is Georgia the best state as far as baseball time? I mean, it's really, really good. So is Florida. So is Texas. So is California. Yes, Tom Brady's the best. Sure, I hope you are. My biggest pet peeve in baseball. That's a really hard question. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but I do have some pet peeves. Cheerleaders for baseball? No. Would you rather be late or early on the ball? I mean, if you're late on the ball and it's by you, then I guess you're never going to hit it. So if you catch it out front a little bit too much, I mean, you probably still got a chance. Matt, you should stop it. I've been asked that a lot. I have not had time to watch TV so I don't really have a whole, I know it's definitely sad, obviously, but I don't really have too much more. I talked about a little bit earlier in this, so. Should a pitcher establish the inside or the outside first in the game? I don't really know. I mean, I guess it would depend on a lot of things. The pitcher that's pitching, the team he's pitching to. So it's hard to say just without really knowing anything. What was the first thought of facing 90 plus? It just depends on your age. Like First time I faced 90 plus was probably when I was young, facing a kid, Jeff Allison from my hometown, who threw really, really hard. And I actually didn't really mind hitting against velocity very much. I always felt like a pretty good fastball hitter, so I don't ever remember in baseball being scared to face fast pitching. Like when I faced him, I feel like I was never like, oh no, I don't want to face him. I feel like I was like, I'm gonna get hit. Do I agree with shifts in baseball? Yeah. I think with all the data now, if you can, I mean, little people are really, really smart, a lot smarter than me, and if they can crunch all the numbers and figure out that this is the best way to get a guy out and position a guy, then I'm all for it. As a batter, how do you know how to lay off a ball? I think the more you hit, the better you get at seeing the ball, knowing where it's going to be, what pitch is going to be, where it's going to end up. It just takes a lot of practice. It takes seeing a lot of balls out of the hand. Some guys are better at it than others, but I would say it was probably always my best skill is pitch recognition. And I don't know, I was always a patient hitter, so I always saw a lot of pitches. So I don't know if it helped me because I was so patient. I just saw more pitches than maybe other players that were up there hacking early. But do you coach for St. John's Prep this year? Yes, I did coach for St. John's Prep this year. 3 things a high schooler should shoot for to get drafted. I have no idea. I would say as a high schooler, I mean, I got drafted out of high school, but as a high school player, I mean, ultimately, I guess if you want to get drafted, then you should think about just improving as a player. There's nothing specific. I mean, if you get drafted, you're going to get drafted because of your tool set. So they feel like your tools will be good enough to get you that or help you get to the major leagues. So run fast, play good defense, have a good arm, be able to throw fast, be able to swing fast, be able to hit home runs, be able to drive the ball. And then obviously your skill set. So just being able to take those tools and then apply it to the game and be, then you get into pitch recognition, being able to deliver the barrel where you want it, or be able to square the ball up, all that stuff. So thoughts on Kumar Rocker? He is filthy. Thoughts on Mike Trout? He is even filthier. No, players don't usually joke about steroids, at least not when I was playing. Yes, Mama MVP. I think I said yes, you will be. All right. 38 minutes. We'll do like 2-3 more minutes. No, I wouldn't say that pitching and hitting coaches are more important than the manager. I wouldn't say that. Share story about playing in China. I have a couple of China stories. My nose got burned today. I have a couple of China stories. I don't know which one I should tell right now. I enjoyed playing in China, but I lost a lot of weight in China because you would think I would have not lost weight going to McDonald's every day, but I did. I think I lost like 5 or 7 pounds while I was over there. And I ate McDonald's for every meal because it was the only restaurant I could go in. And the food actually didn't taste good at that McDonald's either, but I had to eat something, so. But I was at the field a lot, and the food they were giving us was not very good. And so I just lost a lot of weight. I think Lindor is one of the best shortstops, yeah, for sure. It's hard to always say, people always say who's the best, play or whatever. Like, there's a lot of good ones, so. Best player I have coached or coaching for. Or coaching? Oh. Who's the best player I have coached? Who's the best player we have?
Gills.
Yeah, so we've had a couple guys. So we just, 2 of our Antonelli baseball players, or former Antonelli baseball players, were drafted this year. Jackson Gillis got drafted. He's a left-handed pitcher out of Vanderbilt. He's one of the best players I ever coached. Spencer Brown got drafted by the Angels, I think. Um, he's probably one of the better hitters we've ever had. I mean, he can really, really hit. Other really good players we've had. Yeah, Alec Burns at West Virginia was one of probably the most impressive hitters we've ever had. Jake Gustin at Bryant is one of the best overall players we've ever had. Stephen Koza is a right-handed pitcher. It's one of the hardest throwers I think he is the hardest thrower that we've ever had. I'm leaving out a lot of guys that I could keep naming a bunch of guys. I'm just thinking of guys off the top of my head. So we've got a lot of good players. A lot of good players in this year's team. We've got, Bobby Alcock, who's been one of the better pitchers that we've had in our program. We got a ton of guys. We've got a young player, Matt Travisano, who I think in a couple of years is going to be one of the best players we ever had. So, and there's a lot more guys too, obviously. We've got a really, really talented team this year. I could name like the whole team pretty much. Okay, last 2 questions. Are we ever going to come to a tournament in Ohio or Michigan? So we haven't gone to that part of the country. Usually all the tournaments are on the East Coast, just because we're an East Coast, we're from Massachusetts. And so a lot of the schools that are going to recruit our players are typically East Coast schools. We have sent, we do have a player that's going out to California to play, and we've had players go out more west, but it's like 95% East Coast, maybe even a higher percentage. So Jacoby Ellsbury is the only player to beat me in the 60-yard dash. Yes, he is. And he crushed me. Cincy Flames tournament school. I heard that is a cool tournament. I get an email from him like every other day about tournaments. So we might go out there. Toughest pitcher I ever faced. I faced a lot of really good pitchers. I would say the pitchers that I faced with the best stuff. Daniel Barr was the hardest pitcher for me to hit. I always struggled against him. Tim Lincecum had some of the best stuff I ever faced. Who else? I would say Ubaldo Jimenez, when he was with the Rockies, is when I faced him, and he had really, really good stuff. And then I faced some other guys that, like I faced Andrew Miller a lot in my career, and for some reason I could hit him well. I don't know why. But obviously he's got really good stuff. Okay, last question. Who's going to get it? No, I haven't. These are easy questions. Yes, I have played on artificial turf a ton of times, and I actually really like it. My favorite MLB teammate? I had a lot of favorite teammates. My closest friend probably during my career, I would say over my entire career, is probably Wade LeBlanc. My longest home run was it was either 2 home runs. It was in High A at Rancho Cucamonga. I hit a grand slam like up over the scoreboard that I don't know how far it went, but it went really far. And then I hit a AA home run against Springfield Cardinals. I had 2 of them out of the stadium. That were probably 2 of my favorite ones. I have no idea how far they went, though. And the last question will be, best game I ever had that I remember. My best game ever was, I'll give you 2. The best actual game I ever had was in High A. I went 6 for 8. We won 30-0. This is real life. It was a High A game against the Boston Red Sox High A team. We won 30-0. I went 6 for 8 with 2 runs, and that was the best game I ever had as a baseball player. Other than Black Gold Series, sophomore year at Wake Forest, my first 3 at bats, I hit. I went 3 for 3 with 3 home runs. That was probably the best game I ever played, but that game didn't count. It was just we played a Lake count, but it did. Perfect game is leaving Lake Point. I did hear that, and I don't. Well, I mean, I don't currently want to coach in the majors. Although, if you offer me a major league coaching job, managing job, I'd probably take it. All right. I never got my first home run ball. Nope. That's all I got tonight. I am in a hotel, and I need to go call my wife, and I need to relax a little bit. I probably got to answer a bunch of emails. So thank you, everyone, for hanging out. Thank you for donating in the super chats. I really, really appreciate it. And thanks, Gordon. And I'll talk to you guys later. I'm not going to live stream games from this tournament. We only got one more. But when we get home, we fly home in a couple days, and then we have a little bit of time off, and then we start up a week from Thursday, I think. Yeah, so we've got about a week before our next game after we play tomorrow. We've been down here a while, so I'm gonna start live stream. I was trying to live stream a bunch of the games, and we'll go from there. So that's all we got. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Good night. We'll talk to you later.